Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Thanks so much for stopping by. My name is Tamara Renaye. That's Tamara with 3 A's, no E. As you can see by the title of today's video, we'll be getting into makeup brushes. This has been a highly requested video, and although I do have a video talking about my makeup brushes that I posted a few years ago, I feel that it's best that I come through with an updated because of course I have changed out some of the makeup brushes, and I really have been loving the brushes that I've gotten my hands on over the last couple of years. I've recently decided to upgrade the quality of my makeup brushes just based off the brand that I've been purchasing from. I really do believe that it's really good that you invest in your makeup brushes because that's what will help to give you a beautiful, flawless makeup look, okay? So for today's video, I'm gonna break this up into 3 segments. The first one, we'll discuss all the makeup brushes that I use. Second, we'll get into the brushes that I recommend for beginners. And lastly, we'll talk about how I clean my makeup brushes, what I use to clean, how often I clean them, just to give you guys an idea and a guide of what you should be doing with your brushes as well. So I truly believe today's video will be fun, so let's get into it. Alrighty, so just to be organized with this segment, I'm gonna start off and go into the order of how I do my makeup, just so that I follow along so that I don't miss anything. I will have names and everything down in the description box below and of course on the screen here. But if I miss anything, please do drop it in the comment section and we'll chat it up. So I'm gonna start off with the makeup brushes that I use for my eyebrows. So the first one I like to use is called the Morphe M502 brush. It is a round, flat-headed brush. This is what I like to use to carve out my eyebrows. It just gets right underneath the brows and above the brows perfectly. I used to use a flathead type of flat brush, but I feel when you want to get that nice curve right from the bone of your brow and taking it down to the tail, you want that to be like a nice curved type of shape. You know, you don't want anything too sharp over here. I mean, unless that's the vibe you're going for. But I used to struggle with that kind of brush, but with this Morphe brush, it is perfect because of the shape and the size. And I like that it's flat as well because I'm able to carve or just to clean up the top of my brows really perfectly. And with my brows, I really like how they turned out today. My brows always look pretty decent. And ever since I started using this brush, I feel like my brows have improved overall because I don't have any complaints about this brush. It's really one of my favorites. Now, to blend out this concealer under my brows, I like to go in with another brush, and that is the Real Techniques 300 Deluxe brush. Now, apparently this brush is an eyeshadow brush, if I'm not mistaken. It's called like the crease brush. So you will go up in this area to blend out your eyeshadow, right? But I don't follow the rules. I also want you guys to keep in mind that just because a brush is labeled to do something, yes, you can use it for that particular thing, but you don't have to. You can use it for whatever you want. I like this brush because of the density of it and how it cleans up the concealer under my brows. And it is so good. I used to use a different type of brush, and I feel that it's really good to use synthetic brushes when you're working with your concealers and stuff, just based off how it blends out the concealer onto the face. Like, it just looks so good. But this Real Techniques brush, it is so good. Believe it or not, I've had this brush sitting in my collection, but I was not putting it to use. And then one day, like, it just hit me, and now I can't stop using this brush. Next, let's talk about eyes. So right before I apply my eyeshadows, I really like to prep the lids because I do have dark circles and I want whatever shade I use to pop through so you can see the true shade, right? The brush that I talked about previously, which is the Real Techniques 300, that is what I like to use to blend out the concealer on my eyelids. And like I said, it is so good. I love how it feels, the density of that brush. So right after I blend out the concealer under my eyebrows, I like to use that same brush to blend out the concealer on my eyelids. And of course, you want to set that as well. So the brush that I really love to use is another Real Techniques, and it is the 402 setting brush. Y'all, when I tell you that this brush can be used for so many things, you can use it for your liquids and your powders, and I have multiple. This is a brush I highly recommend for everyone to have in their kit. Whether you are a makeup artist or not, you need this brush, and you need multiple, okay? Because you can definitely get away with using this brush for a lot of things. So I really like to use this brush to set my eyelids. Just apply a thin layer of loose powder on top of the concealer, and That's all you need, okay? That's all you need. Now for my eyeshadow brushes, you guys know how much I rave about the Morphe M501 brush. I have multiple of these brushes. I really, really love how this eyeshadow brush blends out the eyeshadow on the lids. Like I said, I have multiple. I rave about these brushes because they are so good. Now, I don't remember the specific name, like what it's listed to do, but all I know, child, is for eyeshadow, and I will keep using it and using it and using it. So I like to use this brush especially to blend out my eyeshadows right in the crease area, and I also like to pack on eyeshadow with this brush. Now, as you can see, it is a fluffy brush, so to pack on eyeshadow, you will need something that's much on the flatter side, but again, you make the rules. This is your world. You can use your brushes however you please. So these Morphe M501 brushes, I like to use it to apply the eyeshadow in my crease just to blend out, or I like to pack eyeshadow on the lids with it. Another great Morphe brush is the M507 brush. This is like a small dome brush that I like to use on my lower lash line. And this is just to apply the eyeshadow in that area, or on that area, I should say, just to bring the entire eye look together. And I really love the size of it. I love how fluffy it is. It's very, very soft. Let me mention this. All my brushes, they are soft. We love soft brushes over here. So it really gets the job done. And I like how small it is. So it gets right up in that inner corner under the eyes. And it doesn't, it doesn't create a mess, especially when you know what you're doing. And again, like I said, the size. So it is perfect to get up under there. Now, another Morphe brush I really love and enjoy is the M167 brush. And this is called a packer brush. This is the type of brush I like to use whether I'm packing on a matte shade or I will be putting on a shimmer shade. So this is the brush, this is like my go-to brush that I use to apply my shimmer eyeshadows on the lid, or whether it be glitter pigments or whatever. But this is the perfect brush. It gets the job done. And I can honestly say you can also use this brush to clean up your eyebrows if you want to. Even though it's on the bigger side, I feel like the shape is perfect. It all just comes down to personal preference. Before applying my shimmer shadows, I do like to go in with a glitter primer. So a brush that I would use is this Anastasia Beverly Hills 18 brush. It's another flat round top of type brush. I like to use this Anastasia one to apply the primer, and then I use the Morphe brush to pack on my glitter. Or you can switch it. It doesn't even matter, okay? It really does not matter. Or if you are able to get your hands on multiple of the Morphe brushes, you can use one side to apply the primer and then flip it and use the other side to apply the glitter. Again, it really doesn't matter, but I would highly recommend that if you are into the glitter eyeshadows or shimmer eyeshadows, you do need more than one of those flat round type of brushes. They just work perfectly when it comes to applying the shadows onto your lids. Another really good eyeshadow brush I like to use is one from e.l.f. and it's called the eyeshadow brush. This one is like a mini half dome, half moon type of brush. And with this brush, I like to use it in my inner corner when I want to apply just a nice pop of some shimmer in the inner corner of my eyes, or I use that brush to apply some highlight shimmer under my brows just to, give that type of look if that's what you're going for. But you can use this brush for a lot of things. You don't necessarily have to use it for that. I used to use it before to apply the eyeshadow on my lower lash line, just because that was the only brush I had and it was the size that I really liked. And it's really precise because of the shape. Like if you want a nice straight line under the eye, you can definitely do that. But I switched over to the Morphe one because I like how fluffy it is, because I do want that, not a neat type of look, but more of a blown out type of look under the eye. Y'all follow along? I hope so. Now, another good eyeshadow brush that I really like is from MAC, and this is called the 224S brush. This one is like a tapered, fluffy type of brush, and this is perfect to apply your shadows in the crease area. Like it can really, it's made to get up in that area, okay? That is what I like to use as well if I'm not using any of my Morphe brushes, to apply some shadow onto the lids. But it's a really good brush. I love how soft it is. And you can feel the quality, the weight of these brushes, and that is a plus in my hands, okay? It is a plus. Alrighty, so next let's talk about Complexion. Y'all, this is where all the fun and all the magic happens. Your base, this is what matters, and this is what will obviously set the tone for a flawless beat. Now, when it comes to my foundations, I have two brushes that I like to use. The first one that you guys have seen me use quite some time recently is the Makeup by Mario F brush. I love this double-sided brush. On one side it's small, the other side it's bigger. I like to use the bigger side to apply my foundation, and I like to use the smaller side for something else, which I'll get into. But funny enough, when I went to the Makeup by Mario masterclass recently, he obviously used that brush, and he said he likes to use the smaller side to apply the foundation and then use the bigger side to blend out the foundation. Now, I haven't tried that out yet because, like I said, I use the other side for something else and I only have one of that brush. I need at least 2 more and I will be good, okay? This is a brush I feel everyone needs in their kit. I don't know what type of crack he put in that brush, but sweetie, you need it. If you don't have it, you need it, okay? Listen to me. Whatever Tamara tells you to get, you need to go get it, because I always tell y'all, I'll never steer you wrong. Another brush I like to use for my foundation is the Sephora 70 brush. Now, she is a dense brush, okay? She is flat and she's more on the harder side. But I recently realized that the type of brush you use to apply your foundation will really determine the performance or just the overall outcome, the result of how the foundation is going to look on your face, okay? Hear me out. The Makeup by Mario F4 brush is much more on the fluffier side, so it will give you that light to medium coverage, but the Sephora 70 brush, because it's more on the dense side, it will help to give you that full coverage type of look with your foundation. Like if you don't want any spots popping through, that Sephora brush will really get the job done. And that's what I've been using for the last couple of months before I started using the Makeup by Mario. And prior to that, I used to use a beauty sponge. There was another foundation brush I used to use, but I honestly don't remember. I believe it was from Anastasia Beverly Hills, but then I stopped because, like I said, I started using beauty sponges, and then I got the Sephora one because some of my babes on TikTok recommended that brush to me. I've heard quite a few people complain about how hard and tough and dense that brush is, but it's made like that for a reason, because it'll give you that flawless full coverage type of look with your foundation, whereas the Makeup by Mario is really good for that light to medium coverage. But sweetie, again, like I said, you make the rules. This is your world. You use whatever brush you want for your foundation. Alrighty, so let's talk about brushes for your concealer. Now, I never used to be a brush girly when it came to my concealer. I always preferred using a sponge. But when I got my hands on this brush, I said, oh my goodness. And of course, it's going to be number 1, my absolute favorite. It's the Haus Labs concealer brush. Y'all, I love the shape. I love the weight. I like that it's silver. I don't know, this brush is definitely that girl, okay? I know it's a material thing, but it's that girl. I don't know what's in this brush, but this brush gets the job done for me every single time. I don't be using my sponges anymore for my concealer because this brush is literally everything. I love how it blends out the concealer under my eyes. And I also like the shape of this brush as well. So I'm able to get that angled line or shape right on the outer corner of my eyes when I'm done with doing my eyeshadow, just to give me that clean cut, sharp type of look. And then when it comes to blending out the concealer in the inner corner, like right around the nose area, it just sits there perfectly. I love this brush so much. I only have one and I want at least another one in my kit, okay? I need 2 of them at least, but I love this brush so much. I also like the density of it as well. Man, this brush really and truly gets the job done for me. Another great brush to use for your concealer, and it is a brush that I've already mentioned, it's the Real Techniques 402 setting brush. Now, that's the brush I started using to blend out my concealer at first, and that is why I ended up getting multiple, because to be honest with you, your girl was a bit lazy to be cleaning these brushes, especially if I'd be doing my makeup every single day. That's why I always had more than one on deck whenever it came to cleaning up the concealer under my eyes. But you can definitely use that brush. I be seeing the girlies all over TikTok using that brush as well. And this brush, I did not mention it, but this is from Real Techniques, and this is called the Brightening Concealer Brush 242. This is like a flat head type of brush. and it gets right up in this area under your eyes. Like, you can tell this brush was obviously made with intention on getting up in this inner corner area right under the eyes to blend it out. This is an amazing, it is an amazing brush. Now, I know I talk about my house labs, but do not sleep on Real Techniques. This brush right here, I have 2 of them, okay? I have 2 of them. And it just, oh, y'all, this is so good. The way it blends the concealer out under the eyes, girl. And affordable too. Get her. Another really good brush I like to use to blend out my concealer as well is the concealer brush from Hourglass. I love the weight, the quality of this brush, the softness of it, the shape, the density of it. There's just something about this brush, like the quality. I feel it really comes down to the quality of your brushes that will help with the performance and the overall look of your base. But you really, really need your hands on some good brushes when it comes to blending out your base. And that Hourglass concealer brush, she's another banger. And lastly, the last brush I'm going to get into is the Sephora 71 concealer brush. This is another brush I have as well. I've only used it once or twice because once I started using the House Labs one, I can't just put that one down. But the Sephora brush is a really good brush to blend out your concealer as well. And again, you don't have to necessarily use your brushes for what the brush is labeled as. You can use it for whatever you want, okay? So you can definitely use that Sephora brush to apply maybe concealer on your eyelids just to blend it out. It is a concealer brush. It's not necessarily, you know, a brush for the under eyes. Concealer brush, so you can use it to, you know, cover up your dark spots. You can use it to color correct. You can use it to apply your foundation and then use a brush to blend it out. The possibilities are endless, y'all. Possibilities are endless. Now, this is for the girlies that love a good cream bronzing moment or to contour with the cream products. Get your hands on that Makeup by Mario F4 brush. I mentioned it before and I'm gonna mention it again. This is another great brush to use to blend out your cream bronzers and your contour. Now, remember earlier I said that I use the smaller side for something else? Well, that's what I use for my cream bronzing. I like to use the smaller side of the F4 brush to apply and blend out my cream bronzers. And it just does a fabulous job. The shape of it alone just, you know, it's really good to get up in this area right here and then just to lightly apply that bronzer all around the forehead, just the perimeters of your face. I love this brush down, and that is why I said I need to get more than one, because I can literally complete my makeup look, like all my base products, with that brush. Okay, now for liquid and cream blushes, again, you can use the Makeup by Mario F4 brush. It is fantastic. The same way that you would apply your cream bronzer, you would use, I would say to use a smaller side to apply your liquid or cream blush right on the apples of your cheeks or whichever area you like to apply your blush. But the brush I really like to use to apply my liquid blush is the Real Techniques 258 brush. Now, I don't remember the specific name of this brush, but one day I looked at it and I said, I think you will be perfect to apply my liquid blush. And for that day, it did the job. And guess what? I've been using that brush ever since. I've said this before, but you can use your brushes for literally whatever you want to use your brush for. This has a very unique shape. So I don't know if this was meant for like contouring, but I believe it's called the flat brush. Is that what it's called? Something like that. But I really like the shape of it and just how, you know, the weight and how it feels in my hands. And just, you know, it's a really good brush. So it really does blend out the concealer, sorry, not the concealer, the blush, the liquid blush right in this area, and it just gets the job done for me. But I mean, the shape is really not ideal in my opinion, but it works for me. So that's what I use. Powders, powders, powders. Of course, after you apply your liquids, you need to set your liquids with powders. So the brushes that I like to use for powders, okay, I broke this up into 4 little sections here, okay? So the first section, under eyes, okay? When you are applying your powders under your eyes after you've baked and concealed and done all that good stuff, the brush that I mentioned before, and I'm gonna say it again, you need this brush in your hands. You need this brush in your kit. It is the Real Techniques 402 setting brush. I love the shape of this brush. I like how it picks up the powder, and I like how it distributes the powder onto my under eyes. I really Really love that brush. Like I said, you need more than one. I have multiple. So if I have some that are dirty from using liquids, I'm definitely going to use a clean one to apply my powders under the eyes. And that is what I like to use, especially when I apply this powder from MAC. This is the Studio Fix NC50. I talk about this brush, I talk about this powder all the time, but that is the brush I like to use to apply this powder under my eyes. The shape of it, everything about this brush is just, it's everything, okay? Chef's kiss. The next brush I also like to use is a Sephora 99 brush, okay? This brush, it's labeled as a pro blush brush. But baby, me not use this to add no blush on my face. I like to use this brush in this powder and apply it under my eyes. I don't know what it is about these Sephora brushes, but they are so good. They are so soft and it gets the job done, okay? I really love how this picks up products and how it distributes the product under my eyes. Love this brush down, okay? One thing about me, I love a nice fluffy big brush to apply my powders to set my entire face. So one of my go-tos is the Milk Makeup Powder Brush. I love this brush so much. I got this in PR about a year ago, and when I tell you I have not put her down, I have not put her down. I love how soft, big, and fluffy it is. It just gets into the powder and it distributes the powder all over my face perfectly and evenly. I have no complaints about this brush and it does what it's supposed to do, so that's why it's #1 on the list for me. Next up, we have some Sephora brushes. Y'all, these brushes right here, okay? The first one I'm gonna get into is called the 50 Pro Powder Brush. I love this brush so much. It is nice and soft. She is clean, okay? I didn't use her today, but this is a clean 50 brush. And this also gets into the powders and just, you know, applies it all over the face evenly and nicely. I like the quality. I like how big it is. I like how it feels in the hands. I love how soft it is as well. Like, I have no complaints about this brush. If you're unable to get your hands on the Milk Makeup brush, I highly recommend you getting this one as a substitute because it really reminds me of the Milk Makeup brush a lot. Okay, it really does. Like the shape, the color, everything about it reminds me of the Milk one. Now, another great brush that I feel is perfect to apply powders all over your face is this one from Sephora. It's called the Pro Bronzer Brush number 80. Now, this shape is definitely a unique shape, but y'all, if I'm gonna be for real, I'm not using this to apply no bronzer on my face. Like, no, it's not happening. This I would definitely grab and dip it in some powder and just put this all over my face. Now, she's brand new. I have not touched her yet, but just based off how it looks and how it feels, I'm using this to apply powder, not bronzer. You know, like this could also be used for applying your blush, you know, a nice light color and just swirl it all over the cheeks. Now, I kind of see how they say this is for bronzer, but me personally, I'm not use this for bronzer. But this is also a really good brush that I say is good to apply your powders. Another brush I really like to apply my powders with is this Japonesque 718 brush. It is a flat dome dense type of brush. Now, this is perfect for when you're applying like pressed powders or powder foundations on the face because it's going to pick up the product and it's going to apply it onto the face. Whereas the fluffier ones, I say you can use it for pressed powder or really dip it into those loose powders. But this Japonesque brush, baby, when I tell you I'm so happy I got my hands on this brush, this one I've had for years and I don't know if they still make it. This one, I believe I either purchased it off of Amazon or I got this here at Marshall's here in Canada. I'm not too sure. It's been a while, so I don't even remember. But I love this brush so much. This is a brush that I leave the house with, okay? I leave the house with this one, and I also leave with the with the Real Techniques 402 setting brush. Those brushes, they live in my purse when I'm out and about, especially when I have on makeup, okay? But I really, really love that Japonesque brush. I love how soft and dense it is, and it just distributes the product all over the face evenly the way I like it. And it also helps with removing those harsh lines on the face when you're using it to apply your powders. I find that sometimes when you use a fluffy brush, yes, it does apply the powder onto your face, but it'll still leave that kind of like harsh line. If something that you're trying to disguise, but that Japonesque brush, she's perfect, okay? Perfect. Oh, honorable mention, this is an Hourglass double-sided fluffy brush. I believe this is called, hold on, I see a number on here. This is the SA22 brush. This is a powder brush. This side I like to use to apply my blush or my bronzer, and then I like to use the bigger side to apply the powder on my face. I completely forgot about this brush, but this is another one that is so good as well. When I tell y'all, I cleaned all of my brushes yesterday. I cleaned all my brushes yesterday for y'all. So here we are. This is a really good brush. I know she's more on the pricey side, but if you are looking into investing into really good brushes, I highly recommend this one. Now let's get into bronzers. I really love me a nice angled type of brush, and the one I like to use to apply my bronzer is the Sephora 93 brush. It is listed as a pro blush brush, but baby, I use this to apply my bronzer. Now, I can definitely see how you can use this to apply your blush, but like I said, I use this for bronzer because I use something else for my blush. But I really love the angle and the shape of this brush. It really gets into that area right here. Yeah, to apply my bronzer, and I have no complaints. It picks up the products really well. And I just have to say that after getting my hands on some Sephora brushes this year, I can really see kind of like a change in my makeup just because of the quality of these brushes. Like, get your hands on some Sephora brushes, okay? You really need them. Another brush I like to use to apply my bronzer, if my Sephora brush is dirty, is a Japonesque 961 brush. Now, this one I've had for years. It's kind of the same shape as the Sephora one, but it's more fluffy, and this gets the job done for me. I really like how this one picks up product and distributes it. It does the same thing that it's supposed to do, but I don't know. Sephora just has something in their brushes that just takes my makeup to the next level. But these are the two brushes I like to bounce back and forth off when it comes to applying my bronzers. Now, the brushes I like to use to apply my blushes, this one is a Sephora 96 Pro Blush brush. Yes, finally, a blush brush. It's listed as a blush brush, and I use it to apply my blush. I love the shape of this brush. Like, y'all, I don't know what it is, but there's just something about the shape of this brush that I love so much. And I really like how nice and fluffy it is. Like when I, smile, y'all see my cheekbones right here? The way it just picks up the product and just distributes it onto my cheeks, it is nice and fluffy. So you're able to continue to pack that blush on how you please. But this is, y'all see the cheeks? This is what the cheeks be looking like. Yeah. I really love this brush. It is thebomb.com. I have not put this down since using it, okay? Another great brush to use to apply your blushes is the Real Techniques 400 brush. Now, this one is fluffy, it's nice and big, and it gets the job done. I have more than one of these brushes, so I also like to use this brush to apply my powder. So listen, I be using my brushes like crazy, okay? So whenever one is dirty and I need another brush, boom, I just quickly grab it and do what I gotta do. But this is a nice brush, to use to apply your blushes onto the cheeks. It'll get the job done for you. Very affordable, and it does what it's supposed to do, okay? Now, another go-to of mine is a Japonesque 717 brush. Now, I don't remember what it's listed or labeled as, but this is the brush I like to use to apply my blush, okay? This one, like I said, I got a while ago. All my Japonesque brushes I got a while ago, but it gets the job done for me. And I have no complaints when it comes to my Japonesque brushes, okay? But this brush, love it down. Now we've made it to the last brush. Now this brush I like to use to apply some shimmer highlight onto the cheeks, the high points of my face if I'm really in the mood for that type of look, So it is the Morphe M501 brush. This one, I don't remember what it's specifically labeled as, but I like the shape of it. And I just love how it picks up the shimmer and how it distributes it onto the skin. And it's very lightweight, it's very soft, and I love how fluffy it is as well. I just prefer this brush because of how much bigger it is. Usually I see folks use like a smaller type of brush to apply the highlight, and then it creates this, type of like sharp line on the face. No, I like to use this Morphe one because it creates like an iridescent type of look. Like the way it just applies the highlighter onto my cheeks or wherever I place it is just on point. Alrighty, y'all, so that's it for this segment. That's all the brushes, like my go-to brushes I like to use to apply my makeup. Now let's get on to the second segment. Alrighty, so let's get into the second segment, which is makeup brushes that I recommend for beginners. Now, this is a question I get asked all the time. And before I even say what I want to say, y'all, Real Techniques will be your best friend, okay? Firstly, it's very affordable. And number two, the quality is insane. When I first started getting into makeup, when I really wanted to like level up with the makeup brushes that I used, Real Techniques was the company I dived right into because like I said, it's affordable and the quality is amazing. And this was a brush that I see come up often when I'd watch my favorite beauty creators here on YouTube back in the day. Real Techniques is your best friend, okay? Real Techniques is really good. Now, I'm sure that there are other brands out there that's more on the affordable side that has good quality, but to my knowledge, Real Techniques is your best friend, okay? I've said this before earlier in the video, but I highly recommend and I highly suggest investing into good quality makeup brushes. Another brand I'm gonna highly recommend is Sephora. Now, I know Sephora brushes can be on the pricier side, but whenever Sephora has their savings event sales, that is the best time to grab some makeup brushes. When I decided to invest in these makeup brushes early in the year, it was after the Sephora savings event. And when I did a video on my TikTok talking about these brushes, a lot of the girlies left in the comment section saying how they have a list of all the brushes that they want, they save up for it and wait until the Sephora savings event because again, the prices of these brushes, they're outrageous. Like, whew, girl. But in my opinion, it is definitely worth it. But for my beginners, definitely get your hands on some Real Techniques brushes. Some of them come in like sets and kits. So you will get more than one brush, like probably 3 or 4, maybe even 5 for like $20 or $30. To me, that's a good deal, okay? The last set of makeup brushes I purchased is from Real Techniques and it was a pack of 4, maybe 5 brushes. And I spent about 25 Canadian dollars for it. Like, and that was not on sale. Like that was the price. And girl, I really like it. I really like it. Even their sponges, Real Techniques and Morphe, they have some really good sponges. And for your puffs, your powder puffs, just get the ones from Amazon. The ones that come in the packs of like 12, maybe 8 or something like that. And they come in black, pink, white, just different colors. And I see that Real Techniques has their own. And I think I need the infamous orange one in my hands, okay? So for all my beginners out there, definitely look into the Real Techniques brand. They are so good and they are very much so affordable. So that is what I highly recommend. And now for the last segment, which is how I clean my makeup brushes and how often I clean my brushes. But firstly, I do want to mention, I don't wear makeup every day like I used to. Before, I used to wear makeup every single day when I had to get up and go to work. But now I probably wear my makeup like 1 to 3 times a week. So yeah, when it comes to cleaning my brushes, I like to use this product right here. This is from Sephora. It's called the Daily Brush Cleaner Spray. You need to follow the instructions on this bottle, okay? It's nothing crazy, but they say to spray this on a towel. I personally like to use paper towel rather than a towel. Spray this onto the paper towel first. You don't spray this on the brush. You spray this on the paper towel first. Then you take your brush and swirl it onto the paper towel and clean it, okay? So I like to use this in between days when I know I need to use a brush and it's like probably dirty, like a concealer brush, for instance. If I'm using a certain type of concealer one day and I want to change it up for the next time I wear my makeup and I want to use that certain brush, this is what I'm going to pick up to clean it up because, you know, I'm not a makeup artist. The brushes only go on my face. My wrists, they're trained for this way, not this way, okay? So this is what I like to use. So this is a product I highly recommend for all my makeup artists out there. Have this in your kit for the days that you are jumping in between clients and you need to clean a brush real quick. Boom. This does not leave your brushes wet. I don't know what they put in this, but it does not leave your brushes wet. However, it does say to let your brush sit for about 5 minutes to dry. So when I know I need to clean a brush, I'm going to do this right before I get into my whole makeup stuff so that by the time I'm ready to get to that step and I need that brush, it's gonna be clean. Because I do this often and I probably wear makeup like 1 to 3 times a week, my deep cleaning happens every 2 weeks. And what I like to use for my deep cleaning is the Dawn dishwash soap. Like, y'all, I don't do anything or use anything special for my brushes. I do have like a brush cleaner mat thingy that I keep at the bottom of my sink, and I just squirt some of that soap onto it, and I take the brush and I just swirl, 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 keep swirling and swirling and swirling until the sud is no longer brown, but it's white. And I just keep doing that until my brushes are clean, really and truly. Deep cleaning for me happens at least twice a month because I'm using this often in between. Now, I made sure to get the jumbo size when I saw this at Sephora, but this is a really good product to use. And there's also another brand. It's sold at Sephora. I don't remember the name. I believe it starts with a C, but the liquid is blue. The liquid is blue. Here in Canada, you would have to place your order online for it to come here or something like that. You can't just go in the store and buy it, unfortunately. But if this is no longer available, I highly recommend that one. I'm gonna get the name and have it somewhere on the screen for you guys, and I'm definitely going to get that for myself as well. Listen, this and that one is a great product to carry whenever you're traveling. Whenever you're traveling and you wanna clean your brushes in between, this is something that is so good and so convenient to have. Something that's so common, how I see people wash their makeup brushes, they dump it into a bowl of water and just let it sit and soak. No, 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 no. Let me show y'all something real quick. A brush like this is a brush from Morphe. Here we have this metal part right here. This is like the neck of the brush that's holding the bristles and the wooden part of the brush together. What's keeping it together is some sort of adhesive, some type of glue. Over time, if you are letting this sit in water and soap, it's going to loosen, okay? So this silver part right here is gonna start wobbling. We don't want that, especially if you're putting money into your brushes, sweetie, you don't want that. So how I like to clean my brushes, I keep them head down, always. Always, always, always. I don't want water getting up here. So I'm always washing my brushes like this. So let's say this is the mat, or I use my hand. I swirl it just like this. And when I'm going to dry them, I lay them flat so that the water can just, you know, run out at the head of the brush rather than having it soak here. Some people I see keep it up like this and make it dry. The water is gonna run down. We don't want that. So especially for brushes like this, that has this silver neck part that's attached to the wood, you know, the wooden end of the brush. This is some type of glue that's holding it. To me, like when I see that, my anxiety goes through the roof. It really does. You do want to be careful and really take good care of your brushes, y'all. I'm telling y'all to invest in your brushes, and you need to be taking good care of your brushes. Like I know people who have makeup brushes for the last 20 years and they're still using it till this day because they take care of their brushes and they invest in good quality brushes. Okay? Yeah. All right, my love, so this brings me to the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I also hope you guys learned a thing or two about makeup brushes and all that good stuff. I can sit and talk about makeup for days, like really and truly, because I just love makeup. Makeup makes me happy, okay? It's very therapeutic for me. It's a way to just stay calm, and I just love to see the transformation from start to finish. So I will have all the brushes that I talked about today listed in the description box below, so do check that out, and I will link what I can find, y'all. I'm gonna try my very best. Hopefully all these brushes are still available where I can put a link to it. Majority of them, I'm sure I can. But I'll link what I can, okay? Again, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. In the meantime, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. I mean, you made it this far, okay? Might as well hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, hit that little bell so notified whenever I upload a video so you never miss a video. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Tamara Renaye and TikTok at Tamara.Renaye, and keep up with me on my blog at www.tamararenaye.com. Drop 3 3 white hearts down in the comment section below so I know we, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye. These are some of the brushes that I have left back because I didn't use them today. So next time I do my makeup, we good to go. Invest, invest, invest in your makeup brushes, ladies. Invest.